Welcome to what is now the 99th episode of the Rocker Dog Podcast, the only show that talks to musicians of every genre about their dogs of every breed. My name is Tim Dill. I am your host for all but one of those shows. I come to you alongside my dog Charlie of the Golden Doodle breed, and today we welcome to the show Sade Sanchez of the intense and dreamy psych rock trio LA Witch, who are prepping their next album for an early 2025 release, and this is her compassionate rocker dog.
So today we're going to talk about Puppet, since that's my dog. I have two dogs, but because of my breakup, my first dog is with my boyfriend, and I kept the newer dog, which is Puppet.
So Puppet is 4 years old, and as we previously discussed, and there she is.
And that's my parents' dog. This is Penny.
Penny, okay, great. I had Penny down as who's Penny? Who's Penny and Puppet? Well, let's get into Ronnie in a little bit. He's 9,
Okay.
right? So let's go back 4 years, and what instigated bringing Puppet into the fold?
I kind of had been wanting a second dog for a while, just because, dogs are pack animals, and it's not like Ronnie was home alone often. Usually my ex-boyfriend and I would take Ronnie everywhere with us. And so my friend, she fosters dogs from this foundation called the Puerto Rico Dog Foundation, and she's upstate New York. And one day she sent me a photo of a dog who looked exactly like Ronnie, because Ronnie's a brindle as well. And she's like, "Does Ronnie need a little sister?" And I was like, I saw the photo, and I just was like, yes. I didn't even ask about her personality or the size. I was just, as soon as I saw her, I was just like, all right, let's do it. I'll take her. Yeah. So I had a friend who was flying from New York to LA, and I asked him if he could bring Puppet with him, because she was 4 months old at the time. And I was like, I'll give you a ride from the airport if you bring my new dog. And he brought her over, and yeah, I got really lucky because she's so well-tempered, and she got along with Ronnie, and she didn't grow to be as big, even though I wasn't really worried about size because we had a yard and stuff. And even if we didn't have a yard, I'm a very active person. So I'm like, I walk a lot. I go outside a lot. I go to the dog beach. But yeah, when I saw her photo, I just kind of knew that she was the one,
Yeah. Did she have the name already, or did you give her the name?
No, she didn't have a name. Maybe she had like a nickname that my friend had given her temporarily, but I don't really remember.
So if you named her Puppet, was there any significance to that?
Well, since she was kind of like Ronnie's little mini me, that was one reason. Also, we lived in East LA, and like there's an oldie song that's like, "I'm your puppet." I'm sure you know it. And Puppet is actually like a typical like Cholo name or something,
Okay.
So I just thought it fit so well for her.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now, just talking a little bit about Ronnie, you already said that they got along immediately. It was a connection right away, or was there an adaptation period?
There was an adaptation period. Honestly, Ronnie just didn't care about her. He like kind of just was like, whatever. But he was really socialized, and Ronnie's always like been super friendly, but he did have like an accident at the dog park where like one dog bit him on the ear and like kind of ripped his ear in half, and then Ronnie was in stitches and in bandages for like a month. And I think that kind of traumatized him a little bit. So after that, he was kind of just like reserved with other dogs, which is another reason why I'm glad we got Puppet, because I think it helped him build his trust in other dogs again and stuff. But yeah, it took a while. They were she was a puppy, and she was always like wanting to play, and he kind of had to check her sometimes when she was being too much. Also, I really feel like dogs teach each other things, because there's so many things that I realize, especially with them now being separated. There was a lot of things that I think Ronnie taught Puppet.
Yeah.
I'm sure vice versa, but like she was so easy to train, and I think a part of it was because she learned a lot of stuff from him.
Yeah, they definitely can learn from one another and teach us some things. I was going to ask, have you learned anything from your dogs?
I think dogs can teach us a lot about like compassion and loyalty, and being patient. Yeah, it's hard for me to think of exactly what it is that we learn from dogs and all animals,
Yeah.
not just dogs, but I honestly believe that they're here for a reason and to almost like mirror us too in a way, like in the past few months have been really hard for me, and like I noticed that if I was showing any type of like anger or anxiety or like really heavy emotion and stuff, she would kind of like mirror that. And then I didn't want her to suffer because of what I was feeling. So it kind of helped me like check myself and be like, all right, I need to learn how to cope with my emotions and like my reactions to certain things because I can see that I'm scaring like my dogs.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's shown me a lot about myself.
Right. Now, I don't want to go too far down the road, but since you mentioned it, there was stuff on social media that you posted that there are certain struggles you've had with mental health. And I know many times on this show we talk about dogs in the light of, are they helpful to your mental health? So I'm curious, is Puppet an asset to your mental health or is she a worry?
Oh, she's definitely an asset.
Okay.
Like I said, she's like a companion. She shows me a lot of compassion. She shows me like unconditional love. I try and take her I'm going to Paris in a few weeks. I made sure to like that she's coming with me, which was a huge process, by the way.
I
I've
bet.
never flown with a dog, let alone to a different country. But yeah, I mean, the first thing I did when I got out of the hospital or that I was at, I was like, I'm gonna go get my dog. That was the first at the top of my list. And when I was in the rehab, they had one of the therapists would have her dog, or one of the employees, not therapist, sorry. She had her dog come with her to the house, and it was like I realized that all the girls who were living in this home, the dog brought so much joy, and so much just like the energy of this dog brought so much joy to all these women. So yeah, I definitely see it as an asset. I totally understand like why people have like emotional support animals and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Now tell me about the process to get the dog to travel with you. Like, isn't there a quarantine
Well,
period over when you go to the
it
UK?
so it really every country has its own different rules and like regulations. For France in particular, you had to have like a very specific microchip, and it had to have the dog has to have a rabies shot, but the rabies shot has to be done at the same time or after the microchip. Now, I didn't Puppet hadn't she had had her rabies shot, but she didn't have a microchip, so I had to go in and do both at the same time, and they do a health inspection on the dog. The health inspection goes to the Department of Agriculture, and then the Department of Agriculture sends back the approved health certificate. Now, here's the crazy thing though. This checkup and this paperwork has to be done within 10 days of
Okay.
like traveling. So you have to like get this paperwork like FedEx, which is really expensive. And then also the microchip and rabies, I think had to be within a month. So I've been to the vet now like four times, like the past few weeks, and I'm probably going to go one more time this week to get the actual health certificate. So yeah, and then there's the crate, which I had to get her a crate because she's a little bit too big to go like on the plane, and that's something that's like been stressing me out. Puppet was already crate trained, but like I got rid of her crate like a long time ago because she started
Yeah.
sleeping in my bed. But I got a new one that's like approved for like flying with, and I started like recently training her again just so that like I'm not like here's this crate and you're gonna be under a plane for like 12 hours. So she's been sleeping in it this week and like making it feel like her safe place and her home. That way she's not like freaked out.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that you have me worried.
I'm sure she'll be fine. I got her an air tag and everything. I'm like doing everything I can to make sure she's right here. That she's gonna be fine. This is Puppy.
Now, what breed is she? Did you guys ever do it? Was there a DNA test that you posted online at one
Yeah,
point?
yeah, I did a DNA test on her, and she's mostly like American Stafford and Boxer and German Shepherd, and then she's like a 29% like mutt.
Okay.
So I can definitely see like the pit bull and boxer in her sometimes.
And what about Ronnie? Did you ever what was Ronnie?
So we were told that Ronnie was a Dutch Shepherd and Labrador mix. And when we Googled all the photos of those dogs, I mean, he definitely looks related to those dogs or whatever, but I'm not 100% sure.
And going back, Ronnie, you posted recently, he celebrated his ninth birthday.
Hmm.
So going back 9 years, was this a decision you and a boyfriend made at the time to get Ronnie, or did you enter a relationship where Ronnie was your boyfriend's
Well,
dog?
so we made the decision to get him together, but like I think it was my ex-boyfriend was predominantly like the master, if you want to call it that. But we like raised him together, and like I took care of. I mean, he was like my own dog. But yeah, when we split up, it was pretty obvious that like, okay, this is Ronnie's his dog, and Puppet's my dog. And we've made plans to like have them still like see each other and stuff. And I mean, I was really concerned that like Puppet would kind of fall into some sort of depression after the split up, but she's actually like been doing really well, and she seems to be really happy. And it's funny to see how she's actually kind of changed. She's more independent, and
Right.
like it's funny to see her in the leadership role, because before like Ronnie was the alpha, and now she's the alpha with Penny, my parents' dog. And so that's really interesting to see that different dynamic.
Now, on this birthday post that you had for Ronnie, you ended it with "I effing love dogs."
Hmm.
So you might have already kind of touched upon this with some of the stuff we've gone over, but I have to ask, why? Why do you have this strong connection with dogs?
I don't know. I feel like I've always loved all animals in general, but especially dogs, and especially more recently in my later life, like perhaps like since getting Ronnie. I don't know. I really believe that they're like humans' companion, like they're number one, like, and if you look at in history, like dogs have always been loved by people and kings and every like peasants, whatever, it doesn't matter. Like you see like Egyptians who had like special like burials and things for their pets. I don't know. I think they're just like little angel creatures, like
Yeah,
that's like our little earth angels.
yeah, yeah. I I agree. Now, mentioning that you're traveling with Puppet, has Puppet
Hmm.
toured with you before at all?
No, I've always thought about it, but it just wouldn't be very easy for us as a band with her going indoors to venues and stuff like that. Although we did tour with the Black Angels, and Steph, the drummer, she brought her dog, who has recently passed away, by the way. Gus was his name, and he like seemed to be having like a great time.
Yeah.
So I think it is doable. I don't know if I'm ready for that, but eventually, like one day, I would like to bring Puppet on tour. But I'm just kind of taking baby steps for now, and I want it to be comfortable for like everyone, the band, my dog, myself.
Yeah.
So I don't. Eventually, I'll try and do that.
Now, do the dogs ever intersect with your art? And when I say that, do they go to the studio with you? I know you've got a merchandise with the dog's face.
Hmm.
Do they ever show
Yeah.
up in videos, or do their barks ever show up on vinyl?
Well, okay, I can't say too much, but there is a huge dog theme on the next record that's
Ah,
coming out. I don't want to say too much yet, but yeah, it is a really big part of the theme in the next album. And I think we've always been influenced by like just like the cool visuals that like dogs have. And as far as like bringing them to like rehearsal or anything like that, I feel like so bad because dogs are can be so sensitive to noise and
the
stuff.
sound. Yep.
Uh, yeah, so I'm just like I haven't done that before. I'm not sure I would do that, but I've seen people do it, and like their dogs seem to be fine, or like people would just have the dogs around like sound check and stuff, and that seems to be like chill.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Well, I wrap up every show with what I call the zoomies, and that's five fast, frivolous questions. And the first
mhm.
question is, do you kiss your dogs on the mouth?
Yes.
That's the answer I'm looking for, to be quite honest. Not everyone answers that way, but
Yeah.
that's uh, that's the way. That's how I roll.
Yeah, I can't help it.
Okay. Question two is, do you sing to your dogs?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Do
I like
you?
make up songs with them,
I was
all
gonna say,
sorts
do
of
you
weird
sing a
stuff.
song and then stuff their name in the song when it
Yeah.
fits? Yeah, okay. I know you answered the dog does not tour with you, but hypothetically, if Puppet did tour with you, what would Puppet want on the tour rider?
Definitely like treats. She loves those little greenies, the toothbrush things. She likes any stuffed animals that resemble other animals, especially squirrels.
Does she go for the real
Um,
thing?
oh yeah. I think she's like hunting right now. She's like looking out for them right now.
Okay. And question four is, do you have a dog voice? And that's kind of a two-part question. Do you speak to your dog in some sort of unique voice, usually a baby voice, or at times do you give the dog the voice you think it would sound like?
I definitely speak to my dog in like a different voice, like more a more cute, high-pitched voice.
Hmm.
I don't know if I give Puppet a voice, although my ex-boyfriend did used to give her a voice. And so I still kind of associate his made-up dog voice for her, I guess.
Okay. Question five, is there a dog organization or a service that you would like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, I mean, definitely the Puerto Rico Dog Foundation, because that's where I got Pup from. And I still see that they're working really hard and always finding, like, dogs' homes and stuff. And yeah, shout out to them.
Okay, sounds perfect. Before we go, you brought it up. I know you can't get into it too much, but I'll just ask what's next for LA Witch?
So LA Witch has two shows coming up, one in November and one in October in San Francisco. Stay tuned for the date. We will be posting about it, and one LA show in November. And our album will be coming out at the beginning of 2025, so definitely look out for
Awesome.
that.
Well, seeing that you clued us into a little bit of the theme, I'm very much looking forward to it. I can't wait to see what it's all
Well,
about.
thank you.
Well, Sade, thank you so much for taking the time and give us the rundown on Puppet and Ronnie, and I appreciate it and enjoy the rest of your summer and good luck with the new album
Cool.
and everything that
Yeah.
goes with it.
Thanks for having me. Cool.
My pleasure.